Hello and welcome to Gundog Nation. This is Kenneth Witt and I'm coming to you from Texas. I want you to know that Gundog Nation is more than just a podcast. It's a movement to unite those who want to watch a well-trained dog do what it's bred to do. Also, we are set out to try to encourage youth to get encouraged in the sport of gun dogs, whether it's hunting, competition, trials, hunt tests, all the above. This is a community of people that are united to preserve our heritage of gun dog ownership and also to be better gun dog owners. So if you'll stay tuned to all of our episodes, we're going to have people on here to educate you about training, about nutrition, health, anything that can make you a better gun dog owner. It's my pleasure to welcome our listeners, and please join our community. Purina Pro Plan. Here at Gundog Nation, we use Purina Pro Plan for our dogs. We actually use the Sport Performance Edition, which is 30% protein and 20% fat, the beef and bison. It contains glucosamine, omega-3s for their joints. It also contains amino acids for muscles and antioxidants. And it also has probiotics. It's guaranteed to have live probiotics in each serving. There's no artificial colors or flavors. We see the difference in our dogs. We see the difference in their coat, their performance, their endurance, and also in recovery. Be sure to use Purina Pro Plan dog food. The reputation speaks for itself. There's a reason that Purina has been around for such a long time. We suggest that you use it, and we are so proud to be sponsored by Purina Dog Food. Hello, this is Kenneth Witt, and welcome back to Gundog Nation. It's my privilege and honor today to have a guy that I've been chasing around for a long time. I've heard a lot of great things about him. I actually heard a couple people say, two different people who I respect their opinions, tell me that Jay had the cleanest and nicest kennel that they'd ever seen. That speaks volumes. But I want to introduce Mr. Jay Lowry. And Jay, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
My name is Jay Lowry. I own Ryglen Gundogs, which we import UK Cocker Spaniels over here. We've been doing it since I think I imported my first Cocker in June of 2013. So we're going on our 12th year of doing that. We've had the honor and privilege to have some amazing dogs sold to us and get our hands on. So we've brought what I feel like is probably some of the best UK dogs available, at least, to the United States to get the genetics going over here.
Yeah, Jay, define that. I mean, I want you to elaborate on available because I know just common sense and logic would tell you, these guys aren't wanting to turn loose their best dogs. Right. So I'm sure that it's hard and you have to be really selective in timing. Tell me about that. Tell me what you do to get the best dog available.
For me, it's more of the guys over there that help, that help me.
Yes.
Being in the United States, if you're a guy sitting in the US just buying a dog from the UK without a connection, it's probably going to end badly for you. Because once that dog comes across the ocean, it's yours, like it or not. You're not shipping it back over there. But I've been very, very fortunate and blessed to have one man in particular. His name's Ian Openshaw, who's helped me since I started get the dogs that I've got. And that's the key, is to have the connection. I was actually introduced to Cockers in February of 2013. A friend of mine named Mike Stewart, who owns Wildrose Kennels, he and I were in the UK together. A friend of ours arranged for us to rabbit hunt with Cocker Spaniels one morning, which I tell this story all the time. I thought it was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard in my life. I was not really looking forward to it because at that point, a Cocker Spaniel was grandma's mean inbred dog that was going to bite you. But we were with Ian. I saw him get dogs off his truck and I'm like, wow, that doesn't look like grandma's mean inbred dog. And honestly, after a morning of hunting rabbits, it was, I got to have one of these. So then he helped me get my first one, like I said, in June of 2013.
Okay. Now, how did you come to know Mike Stewart? I guess for all the listeners, Mike Stewart is the owner of Wildrose Kennels in Mississippi.
Yes. So I bought my first lab from Mike in 2003. And he does seminars a couple times a year. And if there was a seminar happening at Wildrose, I was there. I was drinking in as much knowledge as I could get. And through those trips down there, he and I just became very, very close. And like I said, we ended up going to the UK together. And I became what I refer to as the prodigal son, because he and I were very close, and I was doing labs, helping, be a trainer from a remote area. And after I got the Cockers, I kind of turned away from the labs and went and did my own thing. We're good friends still. Mike and I are. It's just that I do Cockers and he still does labs. So
now the question of the hour: why? Tell the folks why a Cocker over a lab.
For me, it's just to watch a Cocker work is. If you're a doggy person and you watch a Cocker work and you don't have a smile on your face, you have no soul. And you honestly should not own a dog. Labs are amazing. I mean, they are purebred, long retrieving athletes, and they can do it all. But that Cocker that's working, 15, 20 yards from me, tearing through the cover, shredding it, and then flushes that bird and everything in the world, it went from 1,000 miles an hour to 0. And they just stop and are waiting for their next command of what to happen. I just said, I've got to have it. And at the time, I mean, really in 2013, yes, there were people in the U.S. that had Cockers. They've had Cockers here forever. But the popularity of that breed had not really caught on, so to speak. And we were fortunate to kind of get in early on that. And, it's been a good thing for us. When I bought my first dog in 2013, this was not supposed to become what Ryglen Gundogs is today. It was, hey, I'm going to get a dog or two. It's going to be fun. And, looking down the road now, 12 and a half years, we have 3 stud dogs, 12 mama dogs. We're booked out 1.5 years on puppies. It's a blessing. And it had nothing to do with Jay Lowry. I just am dumb luck and fell into it.
Well, on what you said about the popularity, I'm like you, and I fool with dogs. I don't know how old you are. I'm 56, and I fool with dogs my whole life. I can't imagine a rabbit. One of the main hounds I started with was beagles, rabbit hunting back in Eastern Kentucky, which is where I'm from. But I'm like you. The popularity, even in 13, I remember 14 is when I really got heavy into labs. Wildrose was my first lab. I had a great dog from there. And I've had Southern Oak dogs, and I've imported some of my own stuff. But I'm not a breeder and don't want to be. But now, especially for some reason, guys in the Southeast that I talk to, Cockers are exploding there. Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. Right. And it's so funny. I had a guy on here on one of my episodes, Landon Poppin, who's a guide in North Carolina, who took the first German Wirehair to the Grand.
Oh, ever. Wow.
But he also has a Cocker. And he told me right on this show, he's like, if I'm in the worst mood in the world and just feel horrible, I'll pull that Cocker out and hunt, and it changes my day.
Right. Absolutely.
And that sounds like what you're saying.
Yeah. And really, I mean, the guys, we were just at Dallas Safari Club in Atlanta, and a ton of guys, that are guides or whatever in the Southeast. The pointers on the quail plantations are the ones doing a lot of the work. The Cocker is the one that's going to get a tip at the end of the day. If they have a Cocker that can sit in somebody's lap and just be this sweet little dog, and then you throw it on the ground, it becomes a ferocious beast, flushes the birds, picks it up, comes back and sits in your lap again. I mean, that sells the breed in and of itself.
Yes.
And so often for us, a lot of times I'll get phone calls or emails. Hey, my wife, I want another hunting dog, but my wife said I can't have another lab. They're too big and they shed too much. Okay, well, I'm your answer, because if there's nothing in the upland world in America that a Cocker can't do. We hunt pheasants in North Dakota. I've hunted grouse and woodcock in Wisconsin. We go to Georgia every year and quail hunt. If you're in the South where it's not super cold, lots of guys are picking wood ducks up with them. They can do a lot of things. Now, a big Canada goose, no. And I will say this, please, no one misunderstand me. If you're a hardcore duck hunter, you want a Labrador, period, end of conversation, in my opinion. Now, I have several clients. One gentleman that lives in Oklahoma that owns a duck hunting lodge. He has 2 of our dogs. That's what he uses every day of the season, is the Cockers. I've got another friend that he's in Minnesota, but he just hunted in Montana, hunted some freezing cold frozen rivers, and his Cocker was doing the job for him. So they can do it, but again, in the waterfowl world, a Labrador is just the way to go. Upland, I think I can compete with anybody in the upland world with my dogs. As far as the breed of dog, I don't mean competing, but they can do it.
Now, you said also you do pheasant. You use them for pheasant.
Yes,
they're
sir.
fine, even though a pheasant's a pretty good sized bird.
Oh yeah, definitely,
Okay.
definitely. And we even, yeah, I mean, we've got one female that probably weighs 22 pounds, and she'll drag him back to you every time. So
What's the average weight on a male?
Male, I would say our biggest male that we own right now weighs 32 pounds.
Okay.
So I do have some anomalies out there. I know, like puppies that people have that are 35, 36. But our average stud dog of the 4 that we've got probably is 30 pounds, 29 or 30 pounds.
Okay. And then on the female side, about 25 or?
Yes, sir. Yep. And we have them, some get bigger. Like I said, we've got one that weighs about 22 right now. So, yeah, just nice little dogs.
It might just be me. Even with labs, I prefer a smaller dog.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to get in a fight with something bigger than me.
Yeah.
And I joke, but I'm very serious. If things go wrong in the field, I can pick my cocker up and I can walk a really long ways with that thing in my arms. When I was fooling with labs, and even a 60-pound male, which is a relatively small Labrador, could I do it? I could, but I'm gonna have to stop and take a break every now and then.
Yeah.
Where a cocker, you can throw them in your game bag just about and walk out.
That is handy.
Yeah, definitely.
And I assume that's a lot easier on your grocery bill for your dogs.
It is. They're going to eat less and do the same job. So, yeah.
Now, Jay, I just like your advice or your experience, and what's your food of choice? What do you feed your dogs?
Oh, ProPlan, the only thing I'll feed.
And
I've played. How do I say this politically correct? I was ProPlan forever. I was swayed away to another large dog food company. Promised me the world. I was on that food for 9 months. 9 months, I fought diarrhea and sick dogs. I switched back to ProPlan and it immediately went away. And
Really?
And in that 9 months, I was sending, just pure dog talk here. I was sending poop to universities. Like, what is wrong with my kennel? Why are my dogs all sick?
Yeah.
Nobody could find anything wrong with the minute I went back to ProPlan, it went away.
That's
so
insane.
I don't have any tattoos in my life, but if I had one, that would probably say Purina ProPlan.
that speaks a lot, and I've been bad to experiment around some. I settled one dog food for years and years, and then switched, and I'm kind of in that process right now, trying to land with the best one, and it's a challenge, and so I may go back and try that.
Yeah, ProPlan is the way to go. And like I said, we've had great luck with it.
How many litters do y'all, on average, have a year?
Right at 12, probably. We have, I think right now we've got 12 females, and each one has a litter every year. The reason I'm kind of, how many females do we have? Most of our mama dogs do not live with me. I own them, but they live elsewhere with clients of mine. It's
kind of a nanny program, kind of.
100%. Yes.
Yes.
And I have not done it for a long time. I'm not a really smart person, so it takes me a while to catch on to things. But I started doing that probably 2 years ago. The best decision I ever made. It's easier on us. It saves us money. And then my clients are getting a fully trained dog for free, essentially. They just come back to us once a year. They stay with us 4 months, have babies, and then go back out again.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's a great program.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had the only time I'm not, like I said, not a breeder, but the only time I've ever bred one of my labs is, I did the deal with the Wildrose, has a deal that you take your dog back if it's passed all the health tests, and they'll whelp the puppies and sell the puppies and do a split with you.
Okay. They didn't do that whenever I was there. I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah.
And it's been a while since I did that. I don't know if they still do that, but I did that one time. And anyway, that's interesting. So, Jay, what got me chasing you, following you is, your social media to me is the best, one of the best I've ever seen. And, you have the most beautiful cockers I've seen on, and I'm a dog nerd, so I'm always looking at that stuff. And man, you just, and everybody I show your stuff to, I showed it to somebody today. I said, yeah, I'm going to do a podcast with this guy. And it was a person that's not, a hunter, and they saw your dogs and it went nuts. I'm like, yeah, he's got some nice stuff.
Yeah.
And I assume, Jay, I don't want to speak for you, but you're not going for color or anything. You're looking for hunt drive, and the color is just a bonus, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's got the whole package. I want the whole package. Everybody does.
Yes.
I want a dog that hunts hard, but is not a spaz in the kennel, kind to people, is intelligent. So yeah, I mean, color is secondary to me. I mean, some of my clients are specific about what they want, as far as colors go, which is fine. I don't care. But the last thing I'll do is I'm not going to start breeding red English cockers. I mean, if I get some, which I know I will, because I've got red dogs, that's great. But it's not going to be,
yes,
this is the place to go get red dogs or liver dogs or whatever the case may be. It's whatever comes out. It's what we got.
I believe the same way. I love those colors, but I would never breed to them. Like especially keep breeding reds to reds. Just right. Me. I have my own belief.
And another question people ask me a lot is, in the Labrador world, colors mean a lot, in my opinion. I mean,
yes,
I will have stones thrown at me, but there's only one color of Labrador, and that's black.
Yeah, I agree. And I have 2 yellow labs, but they have black parents.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. But I'm a purist.
Right. In the cocker world, I really, truly, with all my heart, do not think color matters. Especially if you say, a lot of people, if you say chocolate lab, they're like, yeah, that's a joke. People are concerned about buying a chocolate or a liver colored cocker from us for that reason. I'm like, I swear to you, it does not matter in the cocker world.
And I don't know all the DNA genetics and stuff on cockers, but that's a common color in the Springer.
Mm-hmm.
It is, there's liver and there's chocolate.
Right.
So I'm assuming, and I don't know if there are any fault colors in a cocker. Are there a color that you really don't want?
Not me personally.
Okay.
No. Not at all.
Okay. So, and just while I'm thinking about it,
mm-hmm.
So Jay, tell the listeners if they want to find your site, if they want to put a deposit on a pup, how do they find you?
Our website is RyglenGundogs.com. Our email address is info@RyglenGundogs.com, and it's RYGLEN and then Gundogs. It's backwards on my shirt right here, actually. Okay. Social media, we're Ryglen Gundogs, Instagram, Facebook. We are very, very, very blessed. Our Facebook is good. It's great. All the pictures are on both, but our Instagram is huge. Probably the biggest in the Gundog world, I would guess.
You have to have a professional photographer, do you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, your pictures are spot. I mean, you and probably Southern Oak Kennels and Wildrose has some of the nicest pictures on the social media of hunting dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. Aaron Davis is my photographer. And just about any trip I go on, Aaron is with me. Because of what you just said. I mean, pictures, you got to have good pictures. You start posting crappy pictures and you lose your quality real fast. So Aaron does it all. I
figured your all stuff is just too good. The quality
Yeah, he's a top-notch guy.
I'm going to get into a topic here, Jay. You and I, first time we had a phone conversation, we touched on this, but I really want to dig down deep and get your thoughts. Okay. So I'll preface it this way. Like, for example, I just came back from England to the IGL, the retriever, competition. And, over in other countries outside the United States, that's those hunt trials have to be kind of low key.
Right.
And I assume, no one directly told me that, but I assume it's for protesters and stuff. And then, that coupled with the fact that we just got some CDC rules that were implemented August 1st of 2024, that now pups have to be 6 months old before they can be imported from a correct me if I'm wrong on this, Jay, a non-rabies country. And if it's a country that has reported rabies cases, it's a year to import.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
I'm not sure about that at all.
So again, it's the government, interfering. This is the U.S. government this time,
Yes.
interfering
Yes.
with our, importation of hunting dogs or even pet, not just hunting dogs, but any kind of dog.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah.
what do you see?
As far as, how things overseas, I have no clue about any of it. I mean, that's their world. I just get to dabble in a little bit. The thing that's frustrating to me is, and this is just me politically, personally, whatever, when the when the government starts dabbling in stuff like that, they kind of got their foot in the door, and I don't like that. If there's a problem with a specific country that we're getting dogs from that's causing an issue, okay, fine, stop it in that country. And I think there probably are specific countries. The UK is a rabies-free country. For the love of everything right and holy, why are we stopping dogs from coming in, puppies from coming in? And yeah, if you want the puppy to be 12 weeks, that's fine.
Yeah, but it was 10 weeks before.
Right. Why? What's the magic number about 6 months? But it's interesting. The very first time I went to England, which is, I don't remember what year it was, I brought some dog. There were dogs that were bought by Wildrose that I escorted back in the United States. When I get to the United States, I'm going through customs with these dogs, and the agent's like, I need to have a rabies certificate on these dogs. I'm like, no, sir, you do not. They're from England. It's a rabies-free country. It doesn't exist there. And I had a little bit of an argument with somebody who should know better, that you have to educate yourself on, they literally don't have it in the country. Therefore, I don't have to produce a certificate. Going back the other way, it's a big pain in the butt. I've done that too. I've sent dogs back over, and it's awful going back because of rabies here. But back to what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't like the government, because what's to say next year it's not okay. Now all dogs have to be 2 years old before they can come to the United States. Or, hey, we don't want dogs from outside the United States coming in here. I just don't like. I like the federal government for protection and that sort of stuff, but don't dabble in stuff that you don't know about. And there's, again, and I'm just making this country up, if Germany, I don't think it's Germany, has a problem with dogs that are biting people or have rabies or have diseases or coming in, punish that country. Don't punish the UK, which has had a long history with us of producing some of the best gun dogs that we have in our country. And not that we can't get them still, but there's benefits at times to having a puppy brought over versus an adult dog. It's obviously less expensive for folks. I personally have never brought a puppy over, so it didn't really. I'm on this rant not because it affected me, because it doesn't at all. I've always bought adult dogs when I bring them in, but I just think I just don't think it's right personally. But nobody asked me, and I'm hoping maybe with the new administration that all may change. Who knows? Am I right? You probably know more about it than me. Is it kind of a trial period, this 6-month thing, or is it law for good?
I do not know the answer.
I don't either.
Maybe I should research that a little bit.
Yeah, maybe, but I know. There's several guys over here that I know, and I know guys on the other side that send a lot of younger dogs, puppies, if you will, here. There were a lot of dogs moving across the ocean, like July 29th.
I got 2 in July.
Yeah.
A pup from Ireland and a pup from England.
Yeah. Again, from what the guy from Illinois can tell, just by the little bit I know, it just doesn't make any sense. But maybe someone could explain it to me. But it just seems like the government's overstepping a little bit, in my opinion.
Now, so Jay, on another note, there, do you guys have a training facility there too?
In our kennel?
Yes.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
And
I don't. I've got a group of dogs. This is kind of new news, if you will. I have a group of dogs that I'm training right now. That this is going to be my last group that I train, at least for a while. My real job is, if those of you who don't know, I'm really a dentist. Is my real job. I just do this on the side, and I've got kids that are growing up that I think, it'd probably be good if those kids knew who I was. as opposed to me knowing the dog's names. I should know my kids' names. So I'm going to take a little hiatus from training just to be able to have more family time and enjoy it. I mean, we're still going to be raising puppies and stuff, which is plenty to do. But as far as training outside dogs, I'm going to take a break from that. But yeah, I personally own 55 acres that has a couple ponds on it. And then I have access to a 40 acre CRP field that we keep birds in. So that's where my bird field's at. So yeah, we have a great training facility here.
Do you have any associate trainers or apprentice trainers?
No, sir. I do it all. There's a lady, her name is Buffy Chandler, that manages my kennel. So when I'm at the office working, she takes care of everything for me. Without Buffy, I could not do what I do at all. She does so much for me, and it's really a lot. What we do is a lot for two people to do. A lot of people would have more than that, but I don't mind to work hard, and neither does she. So the fewer people that are in that kennel, the happier both of us are.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot to take care of for two people, especially one of them being a dentist.
Yeah.
Question. So on that CRP field, does that field hold like I assume you're taking pen raised birds?
Yes, sir.
It doesn't hold them very long.
I have 3 pigeon houses that I have homers in, and 1 big quail house that I keep quail in. We also have a pheasant farm not far from us that if I want pheasants, I'll go buy pheasants and put them out that day and train with them that day. But a majority of my training is with pigeons and quail.
Just more economical?
Yes. Pigeons, I can reuse pigeons 20,000 times and they just keep coming back. Quail, I'll shoot some of them, but some of them I let fly, but they're going to recall back to the house. So I get to use that same bird again and again too.
Really?
A pheasant, once you put him out, you may never see him again. So the birds I use just are much more economical to use.
Now, in your program, how long is it taking you all to have a finished dog?
I wouldn't say a finished dog. I would say a fully trained dog,
ready to hunt.
I have 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
And I would say most trainers could do it faster than me, but I just get to train 3, maybe 4 days a week because of my other job. So it takes me a little bit longer to get things done. But that's why I only keep, like right now, I've got 3 client dogs that I'm training. I don't keep very many dogs to train just because it's way more important to me that I produce something that's really good than that I produce a bunch of them. Yeah. And I'm not a field trialer. I don't do hunt tests. And I have nothing against those guys. They're great dogs. They're amazing trainers. I don't have time, and I just want a dog that I can take and hunt. That's all I care about.
Yeah, those tests and trials, you're traveling, and it's extremely time consuming.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, the training that you do, do you, I guess my question would be this. Obviously, you sell pups. And do you have a package that, hey, if you buy this pup, we will train it for you ready to hunt, not necessarily finished?
Right.
And that's what you do, I guess. And do you also have dogs that weren't sold as pups that you've kept back to train and sell as ready to go hunting dogs?
So I typically don't keep a puppy for myself that I'm not planning on keeping long-term for myself.
Well, I guess you got a wait list too. I never thought about that. So
I typically don't have started dogs, if you will, available. But I do, like if somebody's going to, back when I was training, like the guys that wanted me to train their puppies that I have now, they told me way ahead of time, hey, I want you to train the dog. So they'll go home with the client for till they're 6 or 8 months old. And then they come back to me to train. I used to do it to where, hey, you come, you pick your puppy out, you meet your puppy, and it's just going to stay with me until I'm done. I found with cockers in my hands, it's going to work a lot better if they go home and they grow up a little bit and mature and get socialized to everything that's going to be in their world and then come back to me for training.
Jay, do those cockers, as a general rule, do they bond with one owner, or they just work for any owner, or is it different?
It's different. I would say, most of the dogs are going to, like if it's me and Buffy, for example, if we're around the kennel, if we're both there, there's a lot of those dogs. A lot of the dogs just want to be with me. If I'm not there, she's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Okay.
So they're willing to do, but they know that I'm the one that's going to take them to the field and hunt.
Okay.
She's going to be the one that loves them. So it, yeah, I mean, and most of the time it's going to be like every now and then you'll have a husband and a wife both that hunt, but typically, not to be sexist, this is just the realities of life. Typically the husband's hunting and the wife is not. But that dog may be the wife's dog at the house, but as soon as he grabs his vest and his gun, she's chopped liver and dog's out the door with him. Is kind of what I found to be the case.
Generally, that's kind of what you see.
Yeah.
So when you send these pups home that are to come back to you for training, do you send a list of rules, a list of guidelines for the? Okay.
No, I just want my only thing I ever ask is when you bring that dog back to me, I want it to come to me when I call it, and I want it to pick up a tennis ball. Okay. If it will do those things, I can usually, I mean, not always, but I usually can take it to where I want it to go. But yeah, I mean, and most of the times people will do things with them. They'll work on place a little bit and they'll work on heel a little bit, but because I'm, and I this is just who I am, no matter what they tell me the dog's doing, I'm going to do it all myself again anyway.
Yeah.
So if it's doing something, that's fantastic. That's a bonus. If I don't have to spend as much time, but as a general rule, I don't care. If it's a wild Indian, that's fine. I can bring it back in where I want it to be.
Okay. That's good to know. Yeah.
But when I was doing Labradors, when I trained Labradors for Wildrose, I mean, it was 8 weeks old. We were going to work and I was real strict about everything. A Labrador, I feel like a Labrador can do that, or a Cocker can too, but you just have to be super delicate with them in the beginning. They need to know it's okay to go. You know, okay. I don't want one that's stuck by my foot all the time because yes, in the field, I want one that will be stuck by my foot. But when I click my fingers, you got to turn on the engines and you got to run and go do your job and not be concerned about leaving me. I just feel like, again, my opinion with a Cocker, grow up a little bit, come back to me. Okay. A Labrador, I think I felt like I could start a lot earlier on and get just as
they seem to love to train and would train 7 days a week if you tried.
Yep.
Is that what you? Okay.
Yep.
So you actually trained some with Wildrose.
Oh, I trained. Yeah, that's what I did for Mike. For almost 10 years, I was an associate trainer for Mike.
Wow. Now, did you take dogs up to Illinois or?
Yes, sir. So I would go down, pick up puppies, bring them back home. And usually they were for a specific client. I'd train them and then deliver them back to Wildrose when I was done.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
How long would you generally keep those labs to?
Same thing. Well, and sometimes it would be longer with the labs just because I was keeping them because I was bringing them home as babies. You know, I may have them 9 or 10 months total because they'd be 9 or 10 months old when I'd send them home with kind of a basic foundation of training.
Wow. I did not know you did that. That's interesting.
Yep. That's where I learned to train is through Wildrose. And I would say 75% of what I do is exactly how I learned there. There's some different things that I've learned along the way that work better for the Cockers that I do different now. So
have you ever been trained by or attended any seminars from people in the UK?
I've not. No. I mean, I've asked lots of questions of guys over there, but never been to a formal seminar over there.
Have you attended any events over there?
Yes, sir.
Trial events? Yeah,
I've been to a couple Labrador trials over there back in the day. And then I own a dog that once I bought her, she qualified for the Cocker Championship. And when she was running in the championship, I went over and watched her run. That was I was there in January of 2020 watching her run. So right before the world shut down, I was over watching my dog run, which was pretty amazing. Just to, she actually placed second in the championship. So to be the American, which I stuck out like we stick out like a sore thumb. I mean, we can try to blend in, but it's like, hey, you're from America. to get to be there in my dog place was pretty special deal.
Yeah, I knew when I wasn't wearing tweed and wool hunting clothes that
if you have a regular baseball hat on, you don't.
I actually wore this. It didn't help. Like, but and then I'd open my mouth, and that was the end of that. But, Jay, when I was over there, it was really neat because, I'm really interested in cockers and I really follow your stuff. But, and you know more about the trials than I do. I've only been to one. It was a 3-day, event. But they would have like a covered truck, like a canvas truck, and the beaters, I guess they call them the beaters, would go out and they'd have cockers and springers. And they go out and flush the pheasants and whatever else comes out of there.
Right.
And then they shoot them for the retrievers in the trial.
Right.
So that was neat. I got some neat pictures, but those guys go in and work, flush those birds out. You've already seen this, but I've never seen that many wild game birds in my entire life. It was insane. Pheasants would come out and, just look like sandhill crane or something, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
But no, it's really neat. I'm really interested in the cockers and I want to hunt with some I haven't got to yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got friends that have them now. I tell you one of your customers that I've had on here that I like is Shane Kendrick.
Yeah.
He's got one of your dogs. I mean, he just, it's funny, Jay, everybody that I've had on here or that I've talked to hunting that's hunted with or worked with a cocker, they light up when they talk about them and they're crazy over them. And these are like Rody Best, probably one of the most famous retriever trainers in Texas.
Yeah.
SRS guy, he's the man.
Right.
He's got one.
Yeah.
And loves it, so it's, and there's a lot of retriever guys. They've got the retrievers, but they got a cocker in the load too.
Yeah.
So it's neat. I'm getting ready to have one. I got one, I was looking at yours and you turned me on to a buddy that had some of your stuff, but a friend of mine, just because of family circumstance up in Wisconsin, I ended up getting one that she had, and she's a really, really good trainer, a friend of mine. We've known each other way back. And so I ended up getting one of hers, and it was about 6 months old, and she had it with Jaylee Swartz.
Oh, yeah.
And I just left it with Jaylee.
Yeah.
Because I saw that she seemed like she knew what she's doing, and I've been impressed so far. But so I'll have one this fall to hunt with.
Good. Yeah, Jaylee's she's amazing. I mean, she won the Cocker Championship here in probably 3 years ago, I think, with a dog named Ike. She's a great trainer.
And this Cocker it wasn't one of Jaylee's dogs, but I saw the pedigree, and it was all British. Like everything on it was, it looked like a lab pedigree in England,
right?
Like FC, whatever. But I still, man, I want to come up to your kennel. It's, I told you, I think I told you, a year ago I was up there a whole lot. Right.
You were working, weren't you?
I was up there in Nashville, Illinois.
Yeah.
At a campground.
Yeah.
And cannot believe and a lot of my people that I had to deal with were in Centralia there. You're in Centralia, right?
I'm in Brownstown, which is about 30 minutes north of Centralia. Yeah.
Okay. So where is that in relation to Nashville, Mount Vernon?
So we are an hour straight north of Mount Vernon.
Okay. I was in Mount Vernon, and then I went up north probably an hour. Then I had another deal up in Decatur area too. So I was all around you. That kills me because I would have loved to see it. And honestly, I'm always trying to improve as a trainer myself. I'm not a professional trainer, and Lord, I wouldn't feel confident to train somebody else's dogs, but I'd love to come up there and pick your brain and watch you in action,
Oh, for sure. That'd be great. That would be great.
But now, do you, I know you've got your females, you've got your stud dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you try to refresh your genetics periodically? How often do you do that? Do you still import very often?
Yep. Okay. We haven't imported anything for a year. And I actually have a couple puppies, females that I've kept back from our breedings that I really like the cross to put into our program. And I have a fingers crossed, a stud dog from some of my breeding that's going to start in the next couple months, probably. And we've got really great things in it, and I will always import dogs. But at the same time, if I have good stuff here myself, I want to make sure I'm taking advantage of that too.
So much easier, isn't it? And plus, you're seeing the dog. You know everything about it. You know its
Right.
history. Even though you also have trusted folks in the UK that you can import from.
Right.
It's still nothing better than looking at it yourself.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's we're kind of a mix. For the first 10 years, I had nothing that we had raised ourselves. It was all import stuff. But like what you just said, to keep fresh in, I'll always have to have import stuff, probably. But yeah, I mean, it's a little, you start looking at pedigrees and, okay, I'm going to try this to this, and ooh, that was amazing, or ooh, that was bad. It's a little bit of trial and error. But again, because of the guys in the UK, a lot of times they can look at my stuff, which they've been breeding these for decades, and can say, okay, this is what you want to do. And when they say this is what you want to do, I don't question it. I mean, why would you? I'm a dentist. That's my real job. These guys are professional dog men that have done it for 30 or 40 years. I'm going to trust their wisdom. I'm not going to try to reinvent the wheel at all. So yeah,
I'm like you. I'm never. If you know me long, you'll know that I never portray to be a know-it-all.
Right.
And
right.
I'm always learning, and I always see.
100%. Yeah. And I've that's yeah. I can't think of a time that somebody's told me to do something that I may not have liked it at the time. None of us like to be told what to do, but if you'll humble yourself just a little bit and take some advice, some of the best training advice I've gotten in 15 years or more came from a conversation like that. Somebody said one time, I can make your dog steadier. And I'm like, shut up. Just shut up. You can't. Well, come to find out, he and I had a conversation a few months later, and the best training advice I've gotten in years and years and years. You don't always like to hear it, but sometimes the best thing to do is let somebody else look at your stuff and look at how you're doing things, and they can say there's a better way to do it than what you're doing it. So
that's exactly. I'm sorry.
I always want to learn.
Yeah, and Jay, I learned that I have to go to some retriever clubs when I get time here in Texas, and there's guys there that I know I fool with dogs longer, but they teach me stuff all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And show me something I've done wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm always, I try to keep that mentality. And if you're not a humble person and you want to be a more humble person, train dogs.
Yeah.
It'll humble
you. Yeah. No, there's no two alike. That's for sure.
Have you ever dealt with, or hunted with springers?
I've not. Nope.
I'm just curious, and I haven't either. I saw a lot of them when I was in London, and but do you know any differences in the two other than they're bigger? Is it different drive, different temperament? Are they similar to cockers?
I can't, because I've never messed with them at all. I really can't speak to that. Yeah, I don't know. I think sometimes, and this is just people talking, sometimes cockers are a little bit more temperamental. Where I think a Springer may be a little bit more accommodating to you. I do know, and this is just a fact, and I would argue with anybody that disagreed with me on this, a cocker will kill themselves for you if you're on the same team. If they deem something you've done is unfair or quote unquote not right, they will also punish you. Like I had a female one time that we were in North Dakota hunting, and I got onto her about something which probably wasn't her fault. And I swear to you, Ken, she got behind me and walked and was like, screw you. Go do it yourself now. I hope you like it. And I'm like, gosh, dang it. And it's like, now I'm going back and trying to make up with this dog so she'll go back to work for me.
It's like a marriage then, right?
100% it is. Yeah, you're exactly right. It really is.
I used to do divorce law. I know what gets you there.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yep.
No, that's crazy. Hopefully I'm going to learn a lot from having a cocker. And even though I love to train myself, the dog was already in Wisconsin. Jelly has birds.
Yeah.
And I have a ranch here in Texas. I live in Midland, and my ranch is 3 hours southeast.
Okay.
I still don't have a lot of water. I'm near I can go to the San Saba River and run them. I've got a small pond on the ranch, but it's not natural. You know what I mean? I have to fill it with a water well. So, yeah, it's just really not conducive for waterfowl training in West Texas. You know, East Texas is the retriever capital of the world for training and clubs and competitions.
Right.
But no, that's interesting. So you got me. I'm glad you told me that because, you know, little tidbits like you just said about a cocker.
Oh, yeah.
Because I tell you what I've learned, and I had trouble with Brittany's, female Brittany. I got actually out of the Smith family years ago from the other Smith, Rick, not Ronnie, but Rick. And I've done protection dogs. I still do protection dogs. I still do bite work with Dobermans, and I'm hoping to take 2 dogs to the PSA up here in a year. But, you know, when you've been working with Malinois, Dobermans, Rottweilers, and I've had them all, and you know, you can be harsh in my voice, not I don't physically touch them, but I can be harsh and holler and scream, and I have a pretty loud voice.
Yeah,
you do that to a female Brittany. I'm not saying all of them, just the one I had.
Oh yeah,
and it's game over. They're done. Or back when I rabbit hunted, I had a female beagle, scolded her verbally.
Yeah,
she checked out. You know?
Yeah,
so I'm glad you told me that because you know. Labs they're so forgiving. Like,
oh my gosh,
I could holler and scream one of my labs about something. They're just like, you know, they don't care. It ain't no big. It washes right off their back.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're saying that the cocker's a little bit more temperamental, like you said.
There's some that are hard headed, like a lab. But as a general statement, I mean, if they will just, if you'll be fair to them, they will kill themselves for you. If you're unfair, you may get away with it once. You do it twice. Okay, now it's makeup time because, if you'll just, and also I think with a cocker, if you'll just let them, they want to do it. You just have to show them how to do it. They just want to please. They just want to make you happy so much. They're the most pleasing dog I've ever worked with. And at the same time, I've never been around a smarter dog that will look at you, look at the situation, understand it, and be like, okay, you're in control. I'm okay with that. Or no, you're not in control. And I'll take this mother over myself. Very intelligent dogs.
So do you, and you've got way more experience training retrievers than I do. Would you say that as a general rule that you think that they're a more intelligent dog?
Oh, 100%.
Wow. In
my opinion. I mean, there's just something about, they literally just stare at you. I mean, there's like, they're looking into your soul. And yeah, they'll figure you out real fast. They will read you like a book.
Well, you know, now you kind of spook me because I have fooled with border collies. And I have
just like a border collie.
Yeah. And I learned that they'll outsmart the trainer.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
A lot. And once you figure that out, it's humbling. That's humbling when your dog's out smarter than me. But so that's what this sounds like to me. Oh, it's a cocker similar to how a border collie does.
Right. And I think a cocker too is, again, with in the Labrador world, in my opinion, it's a lot of control. I decide when you move, where you move, how you move, da-da-da-da. In the pointing dog world, it's fire and forget. You let that dog out of the dog box and they'll let you know when they find a covey of birds. A cocker's a little bit of a mix of that, in that I have to be able to control you, but you also have to have the free will to move and hunt. So it's not I'm not controlling every motion of the dog. I'm letting the dog have a little free will, if you will. Now, you're going to stay where I tell you to stay at. I don't mean that, but I think it's a mix of messing with pointing dogs and Labradors, in my opinion, of cockers. That's why, again, I want a cocker to grow up a little bit, 6 or 8 months before I see you to touch you. That's kind of a bird dog thing, Bird dogs, they're going to run till they're 10 or 12 months old, wild and crazy, probably. It's just, I've trained labs, I've trained pointer, I've trained short hairs and Brittany's. And with every breed, you just learn a little bit different stuff. And I'm not saying that I'm great at any of them, but I've fooled with enough of them to kind of know, as a general statement, how they work.
Yeah, right now I'm training two Dobermans,
Uh-huh.
and I've owned them before, but I never trained one start to finish,
Uh-huh.
and they're so immature. And they're
Yeah.
goofy and
Yeah.
clumsy. And my male, who's now 14 weeks old, who looks like this grown dog, is a pup. I mean, he acts like an 8 week, but it's just a Doberman thing.
Right.
In the
Right.
working line world, I don't know anything about show Dobermans. Might be completely different, but
Right.
Malinois are total opposite. They're like ready to learn, mature. Of course, they're good.
Really.
They're amped up
Right.
24/7,
Right.
but they're still mature, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But so, do you feel like like most labs, you get a well-bred lab, you and our British guys, dog guys. A hunt drive is usually 90% of the dogs are going to have it. It's not anything it's just in them.
Right.
It seems like, from what I hear, I don't have any experience. It seems like that cockers are they come out of the box. The hunt drive's there, plug and play.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. I would say that's true. I mean,
you don't have to build drive. You're just channeling drive. You're just
correct. Okay. And that's the thing. That's why I'm wanting them. I can pull it back. I can't push it forward. If it's not there, I can't put it there. If it's there, I can control the monster if it's there. Yeah. If it's not there, I can't push it out. That's why I want it 6 or 8 months old, grow up. If you're wild and crazy, I can put a leash on you and I can get you under control. That's not going to be a problem. It's the dogs in my hands, the cockers that I kept as babies and tried to control them at 8 weeks old and on, like I did a Labrador. They just didn't have the kill about them that I wanted them to have. I took it out of them. It was my fault. Nobody's fault but mine.
So it was kind of a drive killer?
Yep, I think so.
Have you ever had, maybe this might be getting too much in your business, but have you ever had dog, and I know everybody talks about your breeding and that you're a very, very smart and conscientious breeder, but have you ever had pups that just didn't have it? I mean, this is just a pet dog.
Yep.
And if you compare a litter of those to a litter of labs, is it less in the cockers that you'll have dogs that just don't have what it takes to hunt?
Yeah.
And it needs to be in a pet home.
I think so. And I think even so much of the time, the ones that don't have it, it probably is how they were raised.
Okay.
A lot of times. And I think that's with a Labrador too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some that are, just because 2 PhDs in astrophysics have a child doesn't mean they're going to have a smart child. Same thing in the dog world, but
yes,
you got a freaking good chance of it if you play your cards right.
Yeah, you've done the best you can do as a breeder.
Right. Yeah. But I think there's always that chance that you're going to have one that's like, sorry. Yeah. And even in, like, for example, in our warranty, when people come and get the puppies, that's stated very plainly. This is from working field trial stock, but there's no guarantee of their working ability.
Right.
It's just, I'm dealing with biology here that I can't control.
But I would just see me as a spectator and hearing everybody talk about cockers like I do here, and you talk about them, I would just assume, and I know that's always dangerous, I would just assume that there's less of that in this field cocker world, of dogs that don't cut the mustard, that don't have it. It seems like those dogs are just out of the box, ready to hunt.
Right. And there's a difference too. Like, I know there's dogs, I think most of them will make Gundogs.
Okay.
The special ones, which this is not my game, the special ones make field trial dogs.
Okay.
In my opinion. And there's times, and I don't need that high-end field trial dog for my breeding program. I don't. Yeah. That's the reason I've gotten a lot of the dogs that I have here in the U.S. is, hey, this is a great dog, very, very well bred. It's going to make a great gun dog. It's not going to make that. If it won't potentially win the British Championship, I don't want it. That's what I'm getting, and that's fine, because most of my clients couldn't deal with that high-end dog anyway.
Exactly.
But yeah,
that makes perfect sense.
And I think most, and also, let's just be totally honest, a quote unquote big time hunter in America, what do they hunt? Really, let's just be honest. 12 days a year, 15 days a year.
Exactly.
You better pray to God that thing will calm down, because you got 350 days. You got to deal with that thing in some other way. So There's some dogs that I've seen that I'm like, gosh, that thing doesn't have much go. The client thinks it's amazing. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
Because I'll never forget the rest of my life. I was at the Bird Dog Hall of Fame. A good friend of mine's dad was being inducted into the hall. I went down for the induction. I go to the bathroom, and who's standing there but Delmer Smith?
Wow.
And if you're in the bird dog world, you know who Delmer Smith is.
He wrote the Bible.
Yeah. He did 100%. And I was getting ready to get a dog from South Georgia, Brittany, that went back to some of his stuff in the 60s. And I was so excited to tell Delmer about it. And Delmer said, you know the greatest dog in the world? And I'm like, oh God, this is like Moses is coming down from the mountain with tablets. I want to write this down.
Yes.
He said, the greatest dog in the world is a dog that does what you want it to do.
Wow.
And that was revolutionary to me.
Yeah.
Because at that point, my dogs all had to measure up to, just example, Mike Stewart's. Here's what his dogs have to be. So my dogs have to be that too. And I wanted my dogs to be that great, but that gave me freedom in that, you know what? If I can go out and I enjoy my dog doing whatever the crap it is that I want it to do, and it's not what this other person does, who cares? It was very freeing to me.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people in my puppy class now when they come to get their puppies that, my standard may be here for you. But if that doesn't mean it's right or wrong, that's just me. And if you're happy with your dog chasing birds after you shoot, rock and roll, man. I'm not, but you do what you want to be happy. Don't do what I want and be miserable the rest of your life with your dog. Enjoy your dog, whatever that freaking means.
Yeah.
So,
no, you're right. And, I know me, like myself, I've got things I like in a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And things I don't like. And if I have a dog I've worked with and trained with, and it gets to a point and I see it's not, I'll sell it to somebody I know that would appreciate that, but it's just 100%. Not what I want.
Right. Yeah.
No, I get that. That's why I wish I'd have been standing there with you. I'd like to, I've never got to, I've read his book, but
yeah, he's an amazing
that would have been something else.
Yep. He's an amazing man for sure.
That needs to be like on a t-shirt. But like that Brittany I had was out. I've got it off his son, and it was out supposedly out of that stuff. Yeah. Beautiful dog, and it ended up being a good dog. It just wasn't a good fit for my personality.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I didn't want to ruin it, so I got it out of my hands into better hands at the time.
Yeah.
Well, good deal. Well, hey, I know you're a busy man. It's been I've learned a lot. And it just makes me more excited to hunt with a cocker. Every time I talk to somebody, and I've had guys on here that are, like I said, I had probably several guys on here that are lab guys, and they all own a cocker.
Yeah.
And so I'm pumped up. And I'd like to get up there with you. Are you going to be at Pheasant Fest?
Maybe. I'm not for sure yet what I'm going to do, because that's in March, isn't it?
It's March the 7th and 8th, Kansas City.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a booth there, just kind of promote the podcast and meet people.
Yeah.
I've never done that before, and I just thought, man, it sounds fun, and I can talk to anybody all day long. So But I want, if I get back up there, because this stuff I do for a living, I'm still a landman. Okay. And I do oil and gas, and I do renewable energy. So I may be back up near neck of the woods. I'm going to call you and come visit.
Please do.
Just
I'd love
check it out.
Everything for sure. That'd be great.
All right. Jay, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you. And again, tell people how they can find Ryglen Gundogs.
Our website is RyglenGundogs.com, or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Ryglen Gundogs.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on here. Maybe we'll do this again, have us follow up in
very good.
Maybe
Thank
another
you
year or so.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.